It's time now to take a look at what's been making headlines in the international press. Joining me again is Haxie Myers-Belkin. And let's start today with a story that won't be dying down anytime soon, at least in the U.S.
Absolutely. The Dallas Morning News is leading with the headline, "Lives Matter, We're All American. Dallas protesters and counter-protesters come together with police." This is, of course, concerning the murder of 5 on-duty police officers in Dallas on Thursday. The sniper was a black man who claimed he wanted to attack white law enforcement officials as revenge for racial discrimination in the criminal justice system. This piece describes a rally that took place yesterday at a Dallas motorway intersection. There were Black Lives Matter protesters on one side and another group waving American and Texan flags on the other. They were there to show solidarity with the murdered police officers. And now this article is keen to point out that after an hour of standing on opposite sides of the street, leaders of the two groups came together. Two groups with two very different agendas coming together in solidarity.
But that's not the story that's being told everywhere.
Absolutely not. The Washington Post describes the slew of arrests made during the course of nationwide protests in recent days as proof of the growing national divisions over law enforcement and race. This piece quotes a police chief who described Black Lives Matter protesters as, and I'm quoting here, criminals, while a former police chief from Washington is quoted as warning that the United States is sitting on a powder keg.
And this disparity between different papers' reporting of recent events in the country is something the New York Times is exploring in some depth today.
Now, if there's a piece you read on this story today, I would absolutely recommend this one. It's entitled "Front Page Editorials Aim to Soothe the Grief-Stricken." It looks at how papers are increasingly keen to lead national debates on issues such as racial violence and gun law. It specifically cites the Dallas Morning News that we just discussed earlier for its front page yesterday, a striking image of of an eye shedding a tear with the defiant caption, "Our city has been tested before, now we face a new test." The article also goes on to highlight that papers that opt for messages that undermine unity are coming in for increasing criticism. They use Friday's New York Post, which led with the headline "Civil War," as you can see there, as an example of that.
And let's move away now from the U.S. to the U.K., where the entire political system seems to be undergoing something of an upheaval.
You're not wrong there. Let's take a look at the front page of centre-right paper The Times today. The woman you see there is Angela Eagle. She's a Labour MP. Today, she's launching her challenge for the party leadership. She's claiming that current leader Jeremy Corbyn, having lost the confidence of 172 of his MPs, is now incapable of doing his job, quite simply. Eagle has the support of 20% of Labour MPs and MEPs that she needs to launch a leadership bid. And now she's insisting that Jeremy Corbyn should be held to those same standards. But, and here's the big thing, Corbyn has rejected that suggestion outright. "I'll take you to court," reads that headline. He's threatened to take his own party, the Labour Party, to court if opponents try to exclude him from the race by denying him an automatic place on the ballot. For the Times, this is a party engaged in all-out war.
Well, and the left-wing paper, The Guardian, doesn't see it so differently.
Absolutely. If we take a look at the cartoon in today's edition of The Guardian, we see Eagle preparing to fire a serve at Corbyn, a nod, of course, to Andy Murray's victory yesterday at Wimbledon. Corbyn may look a little bit wary there, but behind him we see scores of supporters. While he might not have the loyalty or support of Labour MPs, the party membership does still overwhelmingly support him.
And from a story of political bloodletting to a truly gory story of bullfighting and bull running in Spain.
Now, the annual running of the bulls in Pamplona in Spain is always a hotly anticipated event, not just in Spain, but actually across the world. Let's take a look at the China Daily, which is reporting that 2 men are in a serious condition after being gorged by bulls as they charged through the streets on their way to the bull ring. Quite a terrifying image there. You see a man cowering next to a wall as 4 bulls barge past him. This comes, of course, just one day after matador Victor Barrio was fatally gorged on Saturday during a bullfight in eastern Spain. His death was broadcast live on television, and while much of the international press seems to be kind of morbidly fascinated with the news, Spanish paper El País praises a man they say sought glory even though the prospect of failure was ever present.
And keeping with sport, although slightly less controversial kind, there's only one story in the Portuguese press today.
It's fair to say the Portuguese are pretty euphoric today after beating France, of course, last night in Paris and going on to win the European Championships. Let's take a quick whiz through a couple of headlines. Sports paper A Bola has gone with the pride of Portugal with that much-used photo of, I mean, he kind of looks like he's in pain there, but let's say euphoric Cristiano Ronaldo holding up the Euro trophy, the first, of course, in the country's history. Meanwhile, for Free Daily paper The Metro, the Portuguese have become, quite simply, the kings of Europe.
Well, for much of the match, it must be said that Ronaldo did look like he was in pain, so that's understandable.
Keeping with the theme there.
All right. Thank you very much, Haxie.